I want to get back to Rick Leventhal. You're talking now. As we're talking about the parents, we hear from one of them. But where are they? And when they arrived at the school, they were told initially not to come to the school. Understandably, most did not listen. Many came. And where are they?
Well, they'd set up an area at a local firehouse. That's where a lot of people were being sent. As we understand, many parents were reunited with their children that were led out of that school. We also know that teachers who were in the school with their kids were huddling them in classrooms and locking the doors when they heard those gunshots fired. I can tell you, as we entered Newtown, which was just minutes ago, we could see a lot of police officers blocking all of the roads that lead to where the school is located. So that entire area has been sealed off, and they redirected the media to this park where the news conference is scheduled to begin any minute now. So the police have the area on lockdown. We know they have the school on lockdown. We know they did a room-by-room, classroom-by-classroom search once this shooting was reported. That's where they located the victims. That's where they apparently located the gunman. And the children, as far as we know, that weren't injured in the shooting have now been reunited with their families.
Is there any information on this man, on the shooter's connection to the school? There was one unconfirmed report we heard earlier that this may have been the father of a student. Have we heard anything from law enforcement about that?
Well, I haven't heard that directly from law enforcement. We do have one source suggesting that the shooter may have been a young man, as young as 20 years old. We also have heard that he may live in New Jersey, and there may have been a separate situation there, a crime scene where they kicked down the door of that person's home. We're trying to confirm that at this hour. We don't know the identity of the gunman, and we don't know at this point his connection to the school.
We are hearing, according to other reporting, that there are SWAT teams at this person's home, at the possible shooter's home. And again, there are some reports, unconfirmed as of this hour, that it is the father of a student. We cannot confirm that. Rick, I want to ask you about whether they are, what the status is as we know it at the school at this hour, because as they are not expecting any more victims to be brought to Danbury, Connecticut Hospital, is the school itself in lockdown, and do we believe that the victims, 26 dead confirmed by Fox News, and we believe that we believe that's 26 plus the gunman, because there are different reports, 26 to 27. But the question is, do we believe the victims are still in the school?
Well, Megan, I can guarantee you, based on prior experience, that if you have that many victims located in the school, then it is going to be a very long and very difficult and very grisly crime scene that has to be processed before any of those bodies are moved. Everything has to be carefully documented. Photographs have to be taken. All of those victims have to be secured and then transported from that scene once the entire crime scene has been mapped out, and that can take many, many hours. So you can expect that there will be a crime scene around that school for probably days, and that police will continue to keep everyone out while they process the scene and slowly begin the task of recovering the victims inside that school. But it's not going to be over quickly, especially with that many victims. It's going to take them a very, very long time to process that scene.
One can only wonder what the parents of those who are not accounted for right now are going through. Is there a holding place for them outside of the firehouse, Rick? Do we know whether they are present on the scene at all? We haven't been seeing that as of late in the past hour or so outside of the school in the shots that we have.
Our understanding is that everyone who was rushing towards Sandy Hook Elementary School was being stopped and redirected to the firehouse, possibly to other locations at this point. Our understanding is that there are no parents now at the school itself. Everyone has been moved away from there so that the police can do their job now of processing the scene. So any parents who may have children who were taken from the school at this point should have been reunited with those children. We imagine that, again, this is going to be a very, very long and difficult day for everyone involved.
There were reports, you touched on it earlier, Trace touched on it earlier, of a possible accomplice. And there was some tape of police. Let's look at the pictures. Those are the lucky ones, the parents who get to take their kids home today and explain to them why 18 of their classmates are dead. There were reports of a second person, perhaps an accomplice, and then we didn't hear much more about that. First, we'd heard that they had been pushed off of that, and now we're getting more reports, unconfirmed as of this hour, Rick, but we're getting more reports now from other sources that a second person may be in custody. Have the police said anything about whether they believe that piece of the investigation is still open?
Well, what we had heard was that there was a potential second suspect. You know, oftentimes after these major incidents, you'll have a lot of reports, and many of them turn out to be false. A lot of times there's confusion in the midst of things, and someone may be running from the scene who may be escaping with their life, and people might think that that person is running because they're fleeing the scene because they're somehow involved. We don't know. We're waiting for police to arrive here at this park to brief us and give us more information on the shooting itself. We've been told that there is no active investigation, no active search for a second shooter. That could mean that they have already captured a second person if someone was involved, but we haven't been able to confirm that yet, Megan.
I want to tell our viewers that President Obama was notified of the shooting this morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, that the FBI will be supporting local law enforcement on scene there. He was asked for his reaction. Jay Carney said, I don't want to relay that until we know more about what's happened. But obviously the president, as a father, feels enormous sympathy for the families and wants to do everything we can to support the state and local law enforcement during this very tragic event. He was also, Jay Carney specifically asked about whether assault weapons ban, whether that remains a commitment of the president. And the answer was yes, it does remain a commitment of his, but today is not a day to engage in the usual Washington policy debates. Go ahead, Rick.
We just got this source is Reuters, that an entire classroom of students is unaccounted for after this shooting. We were told that a kindergarten class might have been the scene of much of the gunfire. And if this is correct, then what that suggests is that an entire kindergarten class may have been gunned down in this horrible incident.
Rick Leventhal, stand by. See if you can